Welcome into the Game Plan, presented by the Salisbury University Seagulls in support of alumnus Dan Quinn.
Welcome into the Game Plan with head coach Dan Quinn, the legend Logan Paulsen. I'm your host, Bryan Colbert Jr., and we are here in the Big Bear AI Command Center studio, or the Bear Den, as you call it. I like that a lot, Coach. Now, Coach, we're going right into it. Monday Night Football again,
yes.
More primetime action. What has been your message to the guys as you prepare them for this big moment?
Yeah, man, we're pumped, number one, to get a chance to go compete, and it's going to be an awesome environment for us to go play. But, man, we're really pumped to get this op and align our football, get our football, to play. You and all of our fans watch us to be aligned exactly like we want it.
So, Coach, obviously extra day because of Monday night.
Yep.
How have you utilized that? I know sometimes the players don't. The players' schedule doesn't change, but for the coaches, how important is that extra day?
Yeah, we felt it was important, Logan, to dig into us first. Even before we got into Kansas City, like I was saying, to make sure what things do we need to do to emphasize to play like we're capable of. We haven't been hitting the ball like we want. There's some things where to tick off. This is that course correct time, and so we dug in hard on ourselves before heading into Kansas City.
And, Coach, before we talk about our offense, I have to highlight Sam Cosmi coming back. I don't think we knew that last time we spoke. What did that mean for not only this team, not only this locker room, but for yourself to have a guy like Sam Cosmi back out there?
Yeah, man, it was awesome. And to get that big dude right back in the middle of it all. And so didn't look like he missed a beat,
At
honestly.
all, man.
And that's the really cool thing. There's something that can come back, and Logan can speak to this. You can come back stronger from an injury. And you hear people say that, but it's not just the knee. Like people say, you'll come back stronger. They're talking about the entire person. He's mentally stronger. He's physically stronger. So there's a lot that can come out of a rehab and a turn to say, all right, and you can feel that from him, the work that he put in. So he's just going to keep getting better as he goes to, okay, technique-wise, like that's going to continue to improve. But you feel a stronger-minded person after going through something hard. And I've seen that before, and I see it with Cosmi too.
And how important is it getting that piece? I mean, he's kind of been the piece we've been waiting on for the offensive line. How is it important to get those five guys now playing together, kind of pulling all in the same direction?
Yeah, and the practice reps, right?
Yeah,
Logan, that's where it goes down, man, at practice. And so that's what we want to make sure, man, every time we're out on the field, these guys communicating, throwing a great practice day after day after day. And so to have some continuity, that will be good. To get some people back into the lineup and get practicing all together, that goes a long way, man.
And, Coach, we've talked about it before. When guys are out, it allows other guys to step up. And somebody we've seen step up and been really impressed with is Chris Paul.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how impressed have you been with Chris Paul and just seeing how he's been able to develop, especially playing alongside a guy like Laremy Tunsil?
He has. And one thing Chris has always been on the line of scrimmage, and the fans wouldn't know it, he is an excellent communicator. He can get the calls out. He can move around. But I think you felt the strength, his hands, how strong he is in the past. There'd been one play off or one here. Where did that come from? Why did that play? Now, man, you see this consistent play time and time again. And so I love the connection he and Laremy, have built together now after some games together. And I look forward to Sam and Josh doing that as well on the right side.
Does the communication surprise you? Because he's kind of, at least in my exposure to him, kind of a quiet guy.
Yes.
So is it interesting? And it's funny, when I'm walking the sidelines, he's talking and barking at everybody. I'm like, that's a little bit different than what I would expect. Did that surprise you guys at all?
It did for me early, because I thought like you, he's quiet, but then once you sit in the line room or you're, put your head near the huddle and you can hear what he's talking, and man, it was going. And so I really respected that from him as one of our best communicators. But to put it all together, to see that come to light, his strength at the line, this league has some really strong defensive tackles, and Chris, he is always down for that challenge. So having him and Sam with that kind of size inside, that's a big deal.
And Logan, he's not too quiet. I don't know if you noticed, he's a singer.
I've heard that.
He's a singer.
I've never actually heard him sing, but I've heard that,
All right, Coach, as we move forward, before we go to our defense, we're facing a tough defense in the Steve Spagnuolo defense for the Kansas City Chiefs. What have you seen from him as you've watched the tape and kind of study and prepare for tomorrow's game?
Yeah, I like their system. Good blitz package. They use multiple fronts, and so what that can mean, Bryan, is this different looks. How do you get to this play, to this play, to this play? And so for us, heading into this game, for us to be able to use that tempo and to be on the line of scrimmage and to play fast, that's going to be something that we do, and it's important that we really nail that in this game.
Yeah, the other thing that sticks out about them, to me, is that they've kind of been in the same defense for a long time, and it just seems like it helps bring the defense to life in a way that like first year, second year defenses have a hard time doing. How important is that continuity for them, you think?
Yeah, because it allows people to fit into roles.
Sure.
And now that can be demonstrated as it goes. But at each level of the defense, they've really got some playmakers. I thought they're just a sound crew, Logan. Play in and play out. They don't beat themselves. And like I said, we'll have our work cut out for us to play our way, our standards, and really go on the attack.
Coach, as we look at our defense, we lost a very, very important person in Dorrance Armstrong.
Yes.
He got hurt, but it allowed, again, we talk about these guys that come up and step up opportunity. Jacob Martin comes in and looks impressive, comes in and fills in. How great is it knowing that you have guys like Jacob Martin out there just ready for their number to be called and ready to get out on that field?
He's a great example, Bryan, of a guy who's like hungry and waiting for the chance. He's intentional about his practice habits, the way that he works. And so usually when you're ready for that op and it comes, you're able to meet the standards that you've set. And so Jacob's an ideal example of that. So I'm not surprised for him to have a good game, knowing that he's ready for that next step.
When you talk about intentional practice habits, for people that maybe haven't been around practice, like, can you give an example of maybe something that he does really well?
The skill work that goes into hands and feet as a pass rusher. Oftentimes you just think I'm running into the guy or blasting him, and that's fun. But there's way more to it in terms of how you time up your steps, how you get your feet, how do you work your hands, how can you bend, and so that takes steps and work and over practice. So the deliberate of like, not just another play, it's how can I get this much better. And so going against a guy like Laramie, that is impactful because he really pushes you to your limit about what you can get. So on practice weeks like this one, we like going against one another to sharpen our skills up.
Talk about doing those little things. Somebody that seems to do those little things on our defensive line all the time is a guy in Deron Payne, who you've gotten to see last year and this year. Can you speak on the growth of Deron Payne from what you saw last year when you got in here to the development he's made this season?
It's very significant. I use the word intentional again with him. I felt that from him in his own words. I'm trying to be intentional with everything that I'm doing out on the practice field. And he just is on it, man. The pad level, his technique, his strength, his ability to communicate. You can see him now talking up and down the line of scrimmage. We've played him at end, at tackle, at nose tackle. He's improved as a rusher. So, yeah, he is one of our heavy hitters. And he and Kinlaw on the defensive tackles, that's one of the matchups in this game that I think is a really critical one. The interior of their defensive line, their offensive line, the interior of our defensive line, with all the speed that they have, a big piece of that's going to be our interior guys.
And you guys called this out, like, in training camp, that he was like, there was something different about him.
Yes.
And so has it grown even from that point, I guess would be my question.
I think his performance has, Logan, because in the spring you see the attitude, you see the intentionality.
You have the pads on, right?
Yeah, that's right. And then, but getting into the opening game, there was a screen. I can remember one of the first, maybe the first third down, and for him to just haul ass down the line of scrimmage, make a play on the receiver. Okay, that's a person that's put in the work. That wasn't luck. That wasn't anything other than just his big guy moving, and it's just continued to carry on.
And, Coach, our defense will have his hands full with a guy in Patrick Mahomes. We've seen some great quarterbacks this season, but Patrick Mahomes feels like he's one of one. What makes a guy like Patrick Mahomes so special, and how can we be able to game plan against him?
Yeah, this will sound unusual, but this guy's a winner. And, no doubt. But there's moments in the game where a winner can find the spot to make the play, to do the play that's needed. He scrambles to, for a first down. He throws the pass at the right spot to the right person. And so getting a quarterback over and over is difficult to do, but against a competitor like that, man, like you never back off. You keep finishing at it. But that's the thing that impresses me most in the biggest of moments. He can really deliver. Yeah,
and I think that, like, the thing you said there that was so interesting is just like maybe the offense is kind of boring, but it's like he just finds these opportunities where the game changes just from one of the plays that he makes over the course of the game.
Yeah, and as a good QB, he doesn't get bored of throwing the check down, or throwing it to where to go. But when the moment's there for the shot or the play, then I think he goes, and that's the sign of a really complete player. That's not there, I'm going to take this one. That's my shot, now I'm going to go for it. And that's when when there's a chance to go take your shot because the coverage is finally the right spot and you find the matchup, then you go, and he's able to go do that.
Coach, we're so excited for tomorrow's game. Before we get to that, UNLP got to get in that film.
No question.
Appreciate you, man. Always great catching up with Coach and Logan. We'll hear more from them in a little later in the film study. But now it's time for our Prime Player, brought to you by DC Prime, Loudoun's premier steakhouse. For dinner reservations or private dining, call 703-840-2099. And our Prime Player this week is Daron Payne. Let's take a look at his Week 7 numbers, because Payne has been a force this season on defense. And in the second NFC East battle of the season, he brought the pressure. 5 total tackles, 1 QB hit, 1 tackle for loss, and 3 passes deflected. Payne was wreaking havoc out at AT&T, and we can't wait to see what else he does under the primetime lights tomorrow night at Arrowhead. Now we gotta go to break, but coming up, you won't wanna miss this. Coach and Logan head into film study to break down some Washington film. And later on, Logan, Coach, and I will count down the kickoff. We'll be back right after this break.
The Game Plan is presented by the Salisbury University Seagulls in support of alumnus Dan Quinn. And by the Maryland Lottery Fast Play Games. Play fast, win fast today. Please play responsibly.
Welcome back into the Game Plan with Dan Quinn, presented by Salisbury University. It's time for film study, sponsored by Salisbury University Seagulls in support of alumnus Dan Quinn. Take it away, fellas.
Thanks, Brian. Coach, love watching the film with you. And one of the things that stuck out to me in this game was just I got a Percy Butler sighting.
Yeah.
And it was on special teams playing gunner in 2 really critical moments. And, I had when I was playing special teams, it was always like if you had good gunners, you had good punt team. Yep. And I feel like with this opportunity here, he's up at the top, really just cutting and running and really making a play on the football here.
Yeah. And this is field position loading at the highest. So in this spot, the kick that goes into the end zone, that's a touchback that goes out to the 20-yard line. So for Trest just to absolutely drop the ball down inside the 5, it takes somebody with the speed of Percy to be able to go and down this one, keep his feet in the field of play, right down the line of scrimmage, and he is usually where the action is. And this is a huge play in the game to flip field position.
Yeah, look at his eyes, right? He's about his work to start. He's on the returner, right?
That's right.
Once the returner is obvious he's not getting the ball, his eyes immediately go to the football. And it seems simple, but it's tough work and great play by him.
Yeah, and the decision when the air gets thin of what to do when the pressure's on, like that, you can count on Percy.
Yeah, and this is a great play, but he's singled up, right?
Yep.
And great gunners, they got to handle 2 guys. They got to handle that double vice. And this was one of the better double vice reps that I've seen all season, right? We're down here at the bottom. Percy's here, and you can see the 2 guys. We're going to kind of make sure he's not going to make the play. And Percy says, I have other plans on this.
That's right. This is one of my favorite Percy plays of the season, just because when they do put 2 out there, all right, and the kick's going and Trest hits another bomb to the side, they're trying to say this side of the field has been eliminated, to give their chance, for the returner, who happens to be an excellent returner in Turpin. So to beat 2, split the leverage, and then still hold the outside, man, that's as good as it gets right there.
And I think the other thing too is like you're saying, it's like this. I've seen people do this, but then to get back out and make sure I get this leverage tackle, I think was just really special.
For the people that are watching at home, the 2 gunners who are the outside pieces, they're really the edge setters. And then we call everybody else who comes down the field the hitmen. So if they can set the edge on the returner, like he does here, it allows everybody else who's down the field to come and make good tackles. But it starts with a guy like Percy keeping that edge, knowing that the ball would have to get turned back to everybody else.
Yeah, they really become like the defensive ends,
That's
right?
correct.
For your defensive edge setters. Yeah,
if you think of it, just these 2, the 2 gunners, they're the ones that have to set it, and then everybody else can come and hit inside. And Percy getting doubled to get that done, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big-time play. And so the other guy that really stood out to me in this game was Jacob Martin. And I think, obviously, going against Tyler Guyton, young player, and I think you felt some of Jacob's experience as a rusher in terms of what he was able to take advantage of. Coach, what are you seeing here from him that really sticks out?
I like first things first, that he's on the track. And so we call that being on a track. So there's a chance that he can go power right through this person. And so when he feels that, his feet can then stop or his head can duck, ready to go get the power. And then for him, we call that a chop club, where he can now work the outside edge to go. So being on the track, so every rush starts off the same. Is he going to bull me? Is he not? And then work the technique from there.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because sometimes you see guys and they're running like this angle, right? It's like, man, as a guy who's pass protected, like that's easy. I want you to do that.
Yes,
the hard
right
one is when it's right down the screws.
Where I could go inside you, I could go outside you, and now as I get closer to the contact point, now I got a chance to go beat you on your edge. And I thought, what a good rush and a good finish as well.
And just a grind to finish, too.
Yeah.
Love to see that from him, right? Just a grind to finish that rep out. And it's not only him rushing individually, but I love kind of this stand-up opportunity that he got, because usually this is Dorrance, right?
Yep.
He's getting some work at this in the game. And just the physicality and setting up your brothers to rush well here, I thought was great.
And what you want to do, sometimes you're outside as an end and you're working onto a guard, and if I can get wider, I can maybe create some space.
Yeah.
And in this instance, the slide, no doubt, should go to Kinlaw as the big guy to come.
Yeah.
And now go get onto the hip of the center, get Kinlaw upfield, and see if you can go get some work.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a great job. Really well designed, really well executed. And again, it's him rushing, it's Kinlaw rushing, it's Vaughn to the quarterback. Love to see that kind of energy from the rush. Just the guys working together as four guys converging.
Yeah, you can do it with 4, Logan. That's the preferred way. You
Yeah.
know, there's coverage, there's other things to go, but really making his impact felt right there.
And then, you know, oftentimes it's hard to talk about offensive players as being tough and just seeing these tremendous physical moments. But McNichols, man, every week there's something that he does, whether it's catching the football, tackling, pass pro, and it's just nice to acknowledge a player like this with effort like this.
And sometimes you see a premier look that you want to get a run check to.
Yeah.
And so on this particular one, to say, hey, this is a good time to get the run check to go inside. So good by Jaden to put the call on. But then after that, man, what a absolute warrior mindset for him to go and finish through tackles, taking care of the ball, the body contact, the balance. One of my favorite, 12-yard runs, 15-yard runs of the entire season. But his consistency really shows up, Logan. Like, he is one that puts in the work day after day after day. So no surprise when there's a big run, a big first down to be had. McNichols is definitely one to be counted on.
The guy, and the word you use there is consistency, and I can't wait to watch his consistency, Jacob's consistency, Percy's consistency against the Kansas City Chiefs tonight.
No doubt about it.
Always great learning from Coach and Logan. Now it's time for your winning numbers, brought to you by Maryland Lottery. Please play responsibly. And our winning numbers this week are from our special teams unit. Coming into Week 8, Washington is first in the NFL in kick return averages and kick returns over 40-plus yards. We got 5 of those things. And one of the league's up-and-coming returners, Luke McCaffrey, has had an impressive season and sits at number 2 in the NFL in kick return yards with 713 yards on 24 attempts. Can't wait to see what else our guy can do this season in the return game. Now, let's take a look at more of our upcoming competition. It's time for a competitive edge brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official partner of the Washington Commanders. And here's a look at some of the averages from the Commanders and Chiefs throughout this season. The burgundy and gold offense was stalled out in Dallas against a formidable Cowboys defense. And in the air, Jalen Lade led the team with 3 receptions and 60 yards. On the ground, our running back by committee put up 136 total yards. Washington looks to get back some of their top targets back in the lineup this week against the Chiefs. And we can't wait to see how our guys show up on prime time. Now we got to go to break, but be sure to stick around, Commanders family, because Logan, Coach, and I will be right back to count down the kickoff. And before we go to break, we have to congratulate our Commanders Coaches of the Week, Coach Greg Calhoun of Bishop McNamara High School in Forestville, Maryland, and Coach Nicholas Ferguson of Dr. Henry A. Wise Jr. High School in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Nice work, coaches. Now we got to go to break. We'll be right back with more of the game plan. Welcome back into the Game Plan with Dan Quinn, sponsored by Salisbury University Seagulls in support of alumnus Dan Quinn. Now it's time for our must-watch moment, presented by Marsh McLennan Agency. And our must-watch moment this week is Washington's safety in the first quarter against the Cowboys out in Dallas. Now, following a punt from Tress Way that pinned the Cowboys down at the 1-yard line, defensive tackle Deron Payne got a stop on running back Javonte Williams in the back of the end zone for Washington's first safety of the season. It all started with the special teams, and our defense was able to get the job done. Can't wait to see what this crew does out in Arrowhead. Now it's time for our countdown to kickoff, presented by SeatGeek. The most disruptive idea in ticketing? A ticket that works. Expect the expected. SeatGeek. Coach, been a fun show so far. We know you're excited for tomorrow's game. Before we do that, we understand this moment. You guys are going to be in Arrowhead Stadium. Prime time. All eyes on you. How do you get guys ready for the magnitude of this moment?
Yeah, that confidence comes from earning it. The preparation, the mindset, going all the way through the week, knowing that, man, you've hit all the details, you've gotten all the things you need, the looks are right, and you earn that right to have confidence. And when you do, then you get moments, like the game where you're able to absolutely go let it rip. And so you earn that confidence through the week, and man, then you can go let it fly.
And the other thing I want to ask is, like, for a young player like Connerly, how do you, like, these moments are big. I know he went to big time school, but how do you make sure that a young player is ready to go?
It's about the focus first, Logan,
Sure.
to make sure different look, different player, different call,
Sure.
go to the next one, to the next play, to the next play. And so it's about stringing those together and then knowing what's my assignment, where do I go? And just over and over and over in the loudest environment, aim small, miss small.
Love
That's
that.
my target. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm going. This is my thing. That's where I'm going. So we don't make it too big. Just, man, like, where am I targeting and go
Sure.
with it.
And Coach, something that makes us all feel better, especially in enemy territory, is knowing the best fans in the NFL are going to show up and show out like they
exactly
always
right.
do. Coach, we appreciate your time so much. It was great seeing you guys in the film study. Can't wait to see what we do in tomorrow's game. Commanders family, this was the Game Plan with head coach Dan Quinn, the legend Logan Paulsen. I'm your host, Bryan Colbert Jr. We'll see y'all tomorrow night on Primetime.
The Game Plan, sponsored by Salisbury University, was filmed at the Big Bear AI Command Center studio. Big Bear AI offers mission-ready AI for a rapidly evolving world, proudly protecting the Washington Commanders and its fans.